Welcome to our channel. We're so happy to have you here. Don't forget to subscribe and help us hit our goal of 100,000 subscribers. Vietnam veterans protesting the Vietnam War. We won't fight another rich man's war. The athlete who lost $10,000 to help a struggling competitor. This is Selma Burke, the woman who designed the portrait of Franklin Roosevelt that's still on the dime to this day. Rare in the sense of identified, not the Overlook Hotel from The Shining, where it was used with Jack Nicholson superimposed, but a Valentine's Day dance at the Empress Rooms, Royal Palace Hotel, 1921. This photo, taken by Louis Vuitton in 1899, is one of the first photos ever taken underwater. Charles Thompson being welcomed by his new classmates just 4 months earlier. The Supreme Court rules that racial segregation was unconstitutional. An ethnic Albanian demonstrator gasps for breath after he was beaten by riot police, while a policeman, C, runs through tear gas during clashes in the center of Pristina, March 2, 1998. This is what New York City looked like from space on September 11, 2001. Janet Leigh in Jet Pilot, a Universal circa 1957. Filming began in 1949, but the movie wasn't released until 1957. This is Albert Woolson, the last surviving Civil War veteran. Held in 1903, this is what the first ever Tour de France looked like. Roy Bryant, Wright, and J.W. Milam during their time in the trial for the kidnapping and death of Emmett Till, 1955. They were acquitted, and 1 year later, under double jeopardy protection, admitted to having do it with details. On this day in 1970, 2,000 students gathered on the campus of Kent State in Ohio to protest the Vietnam War. Though canisters of tear gas were fired into the crowd, the protesters remained steadfast. At 12:24 p.m., National Guardsmen opened fire, killing 4 people and injuring 9 in 13 seconds. This is the scene inside a Chicago bar on December 5, 1933, the day Prohibition was repealed. This is a picture of the first ever international tennis match at Wimbledon in 1883. This is what New York City's Central Park looked like during the Great Depression. This is a picture of the spectators, including alleged mobsters, covering their faces with hats to avoid recognition during Al Capone's trial in October 1931. This picture, from 1930, shows a plane flying over the old city of Baghdad. This is the USS Langley, the first United States aircraft carrier. Mohandas Gandhi, with his charkha cloth spinning wheel in his prison cell at Yeravda prison in India from 1932 to 1933, he was imprisoned for demonstrating against British rule. He encouraged others to spin their own cloth, as opposed to buying it off the British. A young Inuit girl carrying her pet, husky on her back, 1920s. The Titanic had a full gym on board, complete with a rowing machine. This is what it looked like. 2 boys teaching each other parts of their culture. Mamie Van Doren poses on top of her luggage after arriving on a Trans World Airlines flight at New York's Idlewild Airport, 1958. This picture, taken in 1838 by Louis Daguerre, is the first ever photo to have a person in it. While we're at it, this picture of a human hand captured in 1895 is the oldest surviving X-ray of the human body. This is the first picture of Earth from the Moon, taken in 1966 by Lunar Orbiter 1. This picture, taken in 1925, is the last known photo of a Barbary lion in the wild. Welcome to our channel. We're so happy to have you here. Don't forget to subscribe and help us hit our goal of 100,000 subscribers. Louis Armstrong, an American trumpeter and one of the most influential artists in jazz history, drawing a trumpet and autographing the side of a young man's head in Nice, France, 1961. A woman tests a stroller intended to be resistant to gas attacks in Hextable, England in 1938, not long before the outbreak of World War II. During the Battle of Britain during World War II, cows were painted with bright white paint to stop cars from hitting them during the nightly blackouts. A little French girl gives an American soldier a kiss on Valentine's Day, 1945. USS Vixen, Maxim Machine Gun and Gunner Smith, The gun appears to be a Maxim Nordenfeldt 37mm 1-pounder autocannon, known to the British as a pom-pom, 1898. This is the first aerial photo ever taken, captured by James Wallace Black from a hot air balloon high above Boston. This is Daniel Lambert, a British man who was known as the world's heaviest person in the 18th century. Anatoly Golimbievsky, a heavily decorated Soviet veteran who lost both legs in the Second World War, acknowledges the salute of 4 young sailors from the Nakhimov Navy School on V-Day in Leningrad in 1989. At the turn of the 20th century, tens of thousands of children worked as newsboys in cities across the United States. They would buy bundles of newspapers from publishers and then sell them on the street. Most newsboys were poor, many were homeless, and some began working as young as 4 years old. Kiss in Central Park, c. 1974. Orgone accumulator, a device sold in the 1950s to allow a person sitting inside to attract orgone, a massless healing energy. A Better Walk in the Park, 1937. Billionaire John D. Rockefeller gives a nickel to a child on his 84th birthday in 1923. A game of unicycle basketball in Harlem, c. 1960s. Future Queen Mary Teck with her mother and brothers before she became queen, 1884. Nurse showing newspaper. Headline about polio vaccine to a man on chest respirator due to polio, 1955. David Hensley, young child crippled by polio, with both legs in braces, soliciting funds in public fundraising driver for a new polio hospital, 1948. Terrified actress Sophia Loren hides inside her car as fans mob her and one cracks her mirror, all while she was at the Rome to San Remo Cinema Car Rally, 9th of April, 1956. As Soviets approached Berlin, the citizens of the city did their best to take care of zoo animals, 1945. Bruce Lee. Doing 2-finger 1-arm push UPS, k. 1970s. An elderly man who carried chairs on his back and rented them out for 10 cents to weary tourists, Constantinople, 1920. Police officer unaware of the imminent danger, 1959. I Was a Teenage Frankenstein, American International Pictures, circa 1957. A demonstrator is taken away by police officers during the Battle of Cable Street in East London when Jewish and anti-fascist protesters clashed with fascists in 1936. The Statue of Liberty, towering over Paris, just before being disassembled and shipped to New York. Together, an armless man, Charles Tripp, and a legless man, Eli Bowen, can ride a tandem. 1900. Fred Astaire, working with David Rose, the musical director of the 1958 TV special, An Evening with Fred Astaire. Alfred Hitchcock serving tea to Leo the Lion, mascot of MGM, 1958. This is Stefan Bobrowski, otherwise known as Lionel the Lion-Faced Man. Stefan had a condition known as hypertrichosis that caused hair to grow up to 8 inches long all over his body, including, obviously, his face. Photograph of members of the DEER Team, U.S., and the Viet Minh, Vietnam, in a training camp during World War II, 1939 to 1945. In the center is U.S. Major Allison K. Thomas, flanked by Vo Nguyen Giap, right, and Ho Chi Minh, left. The first photograph ever taken, 1826 or 1827. General William Tecumseh Sherman, circa 1865. Dolly Atomicus, 1948. View of driver and passenger racing. Stutz car number 2, in trial race during the 1913 Indianapolis 500 automobile races at the Indianapolis Speedway in Indiana. National Automotive History photograph. The Solvay Conference on Quantum Mechanics, 1927. Joseph Stalin, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Winston Churchill at the Tehran Conference, 1943. Train wreck at Montparnasse Station, 1895. This is George Hackenschmidt, the man credited with inventing the bench press. This is what Gutzon Borglum's original model for Mount Rushmore looked like. The very first iteration of Ronald McDonald was created by Willard Scott in 1963. Before the invention of radar, soldiers used big old Looney Tunes-looking contraptions to listen for enemy planes.